Yaraba. So we'll begin today's editorial. Masigi editorial jamna interesting way baduga contentious way ba khara yawi ko. Adi opinion form toning baduga sagi like legality yeng ba ba. Samsamna sagi tuan tuan ba viewpoint myam ne lai ba ba article ani kha yawi ko. Important way examine them da. Yeng so the first editorial, the majoritarian shadow over Adivasi identity or faith in heaven. See matanda sagi lairiba sarkar sin haiter ko constitutional safeguards in sagi ne ko side thamaga sideline ne taromaga lairiba indigenous peoples in zigi rights in the infants to way habagi matanda iba article ni. Samson na koina JSM and habam like let's agree JSM जनजाति सुरक्षा मंचना हुजी बीजेपी लेड गवर्नमेंट जना को तोमा स्टेशन ने तौरी ngसागी बिरसा मुंडा अखोगी इंडिया की फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल दा यामना चौबो रोल लौखिबा आदिवासी लीडर एट द सेम टाइम एनवायरनमेंट की याम खनगिबा को मी मखने मागी सगी तौरमिबे एक्टिविटीज में याम को सिंथाने ना हाय कांदा सिगी इवेंट से कोई सिल्लेबा को तोमा स्टेशन दा अन सगी बिरसा मुंडा ना हाय एक्चुअली आदिवासी मने को इंडिया की ट्राइब्स की नोंद चनब मी मखने अदो कोइन ट्राइब हब टर्म जि दुम हाइरिबो को ना आदिवासी हब जे कोइन आर्ट हदबांदा बेसिकली कोइ ट्राइब दुम हाइनी को लेमेन टर्म दा बट देन ट्राइब ना हाइबजी हुजि लरिबा जनजाति सुरक्षा संगठन हाइबजदा लेड बाय आरएसएस को आरएसएस दे कोइ म्याम नो खंगे बीजेपी की फादर हाइतारे को बीजेपी सिगी अपोपा हाइदनी को बीजेपी ना हाइजे अना बीजेपी जी काइदे पोपनो हाइतादि आरएसएस दगिनी यारबा सगी मोइजन मन एंडोर्स मन तो को सपोर्ट तवेब अदुगा मु डायरेक्टली ओपन मु को ओपनली गाना मु सपोर्ट तो क्या कांदा Union Minister Zinamu Home Minister Namu support mu Tauribo Amit Sana. And basically Moji Atadi RSS ki BJP strong way idealistic base of idealistic way idealistic way but leaders in it. Okay, Moji. Ana stingy matang the easy kay damatuna hakanda adibasigi identity manghan ba yabagi approach amakani have never. Because the one has a delist thousand delist over. When enlist of one have the Hapsan Babani, delist of one have the no to remove an heaven. Go on, Lotopan heaven. Lotopan has in Haganda adivasi in the say my tribe them with the STG category period Samidana. Constitution may the ST status period. Once I get ST period was a god, the list of the come from have a consign my Christian da convert the Robindo. Christian Dharmas in the convert the Robindo was a Moji the list of the Habnida. Okay, so that the Amusida articles the Hajana Kain on Hata the Moida the list of Hata the actually SC Habaga, ST in Habaga, loan a piba do an ass, Mudhana Piriba, provision of cracker, Kene happening. Akuna Sagi, Adivas have a tribe and have a Atahan Targazu. Basically, Muzikina SC the Zumu, Hani, Caucas and a Zumu, Haiba. Yaba. Other Quina, in the Nakain on Habakan, the Constitution and Sagi, ST the Pibaziga, SC the Pibazigo, benefit or Tagane, Constitution safeguards, the Kamina Kin again heaven. Yaba, Kenariba, Kaimaton Habakan, the SC in have the Sidu Cas and have the religion got some name based over. But then ST in have the money, religion the Muslim they have. ST mu religion sama debo yaba on sagi moije ST gi status legine lothok kiba na habsida kedoge have the moida tongan safeguard khara piriba samvidhana piriba no sagi adugi rights in do pangal roi have chamana je have neba then amuna mu kari no have kan the larger approach sama kan the larger context sama kan yengba kan da adivasi na haiba group sing je hindu gi family da challi na haiba gi ne manu da mu tahalana bagi move amane ba samsana moisi da hai sanatan hai sanatan hai when I say adivasi na hai je sanatan na hai bane bigger family da challi sine ba hani je adona basically sanatan hai da hindu ban an sagi hindu dharma jida challi na hai doni eta adi hindu dharma da mune chalale na hai ta gadi adivasi singi tongana yaujaraga leijariba indigenous oiba ani diji mangi dore ba yaba threat amakone ba masai magi indigenous oina lerima bane ani de saktak che hoi mangi doreba ana tawriba sigi janjati suraksa manchana habsida tawribjana kai no agadi mostly mogi md kai no hai kanda adivasi gi ni group sing je hindu gi families da challian habse hapchala kanda mogi adivasi sing ni khungang jing tarib sigi jaga cha mogi khun gi entrance na hai tare janga da gateway sing da hindu gi ba lai gi murti jing sajalaga thamji sin so the Mogi Adivasi in a Lemiba Hanagi, I did obviously Manganeva. Yaba, on Sage Haze Pinabasida is not going on Hata the Sigi moves say, BJP na endorsed Toriba, then Union Home Minister endorsed Toriba, Sigi moves say, actually going on Hata the constitutionally Yenta the Lali in Haze. Constitutionally Yenta the Lali, actually, politically motivate over what Amakani move Amakani have never. Okay, asagi larger oiba khoigi samvidhana ko laga thamiba constitutional safeguard me sayne sideline dane thamame tawrame do sagene rajniti oiba intention amaka da la kan mostly moina hindu rashtra haiba natra hindutwa haiba sigine ideology je promote tawna borom doina changsal e haiba neba anu sagi smaller indigenous community myam singji existence the threat amaka ni haiba ne aduna sigi threat se Yingbakan how far can manage to me at season once a mutang yagan, Haitaga, the India, the lady, indigenous score, meaning Atejo, Miamsing lady, Harry, but Muzi very existence, the trade of light and have the base of an even ecosystem, important. Next up, Hoigi language decorum, Simuzuni, Yamna, contentious Oigo, Simuzu, Paymatandana, Havakan, the CPSC, Namukai Hagakan, the July dead one, the Horokanda, quite three, language and Haitago, loan, Humka, Tam, the Bayada, mandatory when I say class 9. Tagi class 9 da CBC gi makhada lariba students singna kedawada gen haitadi mandatory na three language tamji heba three language and have the karam banon haikanda native oiba india gi ne language ani madi tamji heba tamdaba yade sini yabai je tamdaba yade aduga third ahum subadi kaino haikanda either foreign language adoba any medum tamba yaba adunga sagi hariba foreign language myamsidagu myam CBC French and German emphasis French and German. Japanese go lady, Spanish go lady, but then the curriculum da moina habise French in German da hena emphasis pieba o ta de musida harje Supreme Court na asagi intervene ko to bo makhak changeba asagi loan je kaino haba kana asagi personal choice ne loan na habjidi ko ano asagi personal choice na habjang asagi state na impose to ba yade haba ne ba ko to da ba yade en habi form da ko impose to re na hai ta ga di samvidhan na pirami ba akoi da pirami bane tunga tomba fundamental rights na asagi sokpa jaga yauri haba ne ba ano asagi sida haining je moina language imposition la pa kanda kedogen ha kanda educational areas ko school ge bane background je kaido ge en ha kan sai cultural oiba like cultural battlefield oina ko onthol tore habani haining je moina loan je sai tam dabya de habagi mongda lan ekoi ne khangi india goina ai schedule no golei ai schedule na haibsida yauri je challi je ekoi ge samvidhana ko khangi yare en haiba loan ni challing je ko loan ji kyang li ja ai schedule da ai schedule da samvidhana yare na haiba ko recognition phangaba loan je kyano ai schedule da khangde kaure 22 languages le ba ko koi gi ai schedule da chali ji 22 loan ne ba yar ba so ai schedule da ne le ba 22 loan ji da kai do ka kan da adu ngai du dang oina di yaude kai da maton ha kan da tunga to ma gi lam lam du gi jaga du gi tungina zone zone du gi ne tungina du tam da ba ya da loan jing hap chale sam sam no koi gi north eastern long gi state ta kai ha ka kan da khasi habi moina ko khasi happy then garo happy ko then tangkul happy okay sai tangkul kaina haji di actual damu chande ba ko ana chanda ba loan jing jo hapsali ba but tobo sida haining is kai no na haiba kanda sagi imposition nama khala line hata di July date 1 dagi hawrajen haiba ne ba class 9 da to do jang sagi 3 language ne ba 3 language dang sagi 2 amadi ne native indian gi oiba loan jing tamu na haiba ne ba also jong sagi ma gi lam lam jaga jaga jing du gi khairi ba adu khaiba kanda imposition nama khala ena hai tar ga di oza sing takpi batam bi ba ya ba si ge ne loan jing je ko takpi batam bi ya ba jing je well trained oiba ne ko faculty myam ji kano layer ba sin han dagi laitri ha ba ko song sai gi well trained oiba adu gamba oza myam do han dagi laitri ngai sidang sai loan je tammo na hai ge na hai tar ga di takpi na bi do ko leitabina tam doi do kai den ba ni okay then amana mu kai no ha kan da supreme court mo hai re moina chana je na hare ba July date 1 dagi hodori ba si je athing mama khak thamon hai bani ko adu ga namu hare sumi kon ha ge da athing badi ko thamji mana ma hu je kai ha ge da center da report ama khak ne kawe ba ko report che kai no ha kan da khoi gi sem sa ba sin balang ba ha badi noina July date 1 dagi ho je na ha ba je how far si ji taw na ba ho na ba da chang dori ba myam do loin ba sura ba sini ko oza myam do le mane sura bra ko loan tamdori ba tak tori ba loan jing jigi ne myam ji sura ba and then namu kai na ga da logistical approach na jo hai go logistical approach myam do layer ba sini okay anu sagi sig report sima hana ne ko web supreme court na next namu kai ha ge har kan da supreme court da case ma thai thar ba case da kai ha ge ha de pedestrian na hai ba NEP 2020 gi tungina ko national education policy gi tungina kai ha ge har kan da loan na have da yam na flexibility ma ka piri ba ko tam ba choice ma khane ba but then adui choice to huji tawrei ba CBC gi moves da di kaino na ada di adui choice to mu thamje ko mandatory go gi form do ina mu lae ba ya ba adi si ji mu choice in haije amu kai hai kan da NEP na have a statutory body o ina sem khiba ko nate ma je ya ba magi intention di kaino kan da executive intention ma ko yawi ko ya ba anu sagi governance da lai han na ba adu ki form da sem gi bani but then CBC na sagi loan je da direct oina equation ma khala e na hai ta ga di drawbacks na ma lakane na haibane ba ko adu matang da si base kan da ibani do na si ne important oi aduga amu si dang be France ga German dang da hai je kai non hang be ya ba kan da foreign gi loan jing da huju je khoi India da ne tami bu jing hai ba kan da Japan jo khoi tami ba ko Japanese loan jo khoi tami then Spain loan jo khoi tami ba to bu ani ji dang do khoi na ne emphasis hen na pi ji kai non hai do ne hang be ya kai da matong na hai ba kan da ani sigi loan ani je India gi ne lai ba educational ko institution jing da si je na hen ne ba tam ba je ko tam ba je se na hen ne ba tam ko adon sagi moi ani si da hen na emphasis pi ba ne ba ko adu je Japanese kan ha ba then Spanish kan ha je tam ba dum ko honai ba then honara ga jo sa tra ko masing jing ya ma sigi loan ani je ne he le ko adon sagi si je hapsale adu mu hai je kai ha ge kan da hai ba third ko loan je amu si da yam ne hen so le hai jen ha ta jo fourth subject oi no thamba ya ri sin hai je moi na but then fourth subject thamba tham da ba do na amane ba leidori ba to loan ani je mane mandatory na tambaya aban have how far si je koina school ji da ko impose tꯧꯕꯁꯤ ꯆꯨꯝꯕ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯆꯨꯝꯗꯕ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯑꯣꯖꯥꯁꯤꯡꯗ ꯁꯥꯇ꯭ꯔꯁꯤꯡꯗ and then parents-ꯁꯤꯡꯗ ꯑꯋꯥꯕ ꯑꯃꯈꯛ ꯍꯥꯞꯆꯤꯟꯗꯣꯏꯅꯦꯕꯁꯦ ꯀꯣ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯁꯨꯡꯍꯧ ꯍꯧꯗ꯭ꯔꯤꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯁꯨꯝ ꯈꯪꯗ꯭ꯔꯤꯕ ꯀꯣ ꯉꯁꯥꯏ ꯁꯦꯝ ꯁꯥꯕꯁꯦ ꯂꯣꯏꯗ꯭ꯔꯤꯉꯩꯗ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯟꯁꯦꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯑꯋꯥꯕ ꯑꯃꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯑꯃꯨꯛꯁꯨ ꯀꯩ ꯍꯥꯏꯒꯦꯗ ꯍꯥꯟꯅ ꯑꯦꯛꯆꯨꯑꯦꯂꯤ ꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯂꯣꯟꯁꯤ ꯇꯧꯔꯅꯤꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯦ ꯁꯤꯁꯤ ꯁꯥꯡꯊꯔꯅꯤꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯝꯕꯅꯦꯕ ꯀꯣ 2029 ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯍꯧꯖꯦꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯝꯕꯅꯦꯕ ꯍꯥꯟꯅꯗꯤ ꯀꯣ ꯍꯥꯟꯅꯗꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯝꯕꯅꯤ but then ꯈꯪꯍꯧꯗꯅ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ suddenly ꯍꯟꯗꯛꯀꯤ ꯂꯥꯛꯏꯕ ꯖꯨꯂꯥꯏ ꯗꯦꯠ 1 ꯗꯒꯤ ꯍꯧꯔꯅꯤ ꯁꯤꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯁꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯅ ꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯍꯥꯊꯨꯃꯜꯂꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ and then plus ꯁꯥꯇ꯭ꯔꯁꯤꯡꯗ ꯄꯦꯔꯦꯟꯁꯁꯤꯡꯗ ꯀꯣ ꯑꯋꯥꯕ ꯑꯃꯈꯛ ꯄꯤꯗꯣꯔꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯀꯣ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯥꯡꯗ ꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯅ ꯁꯤꯁꯨ ꯄꯥꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯏꯝꯄꯣꯔꯇꯦꯟꯅꯤ next ꯑꯁꯤꯒꯤ shaping the next chapter in India Canada ko relation si matang sagi diplomacy nꯠꯇ꯭ꯔꯒ bilateral relation India ga Canada gi development lomda chakolba bilateral relationship maruina handaki sida kedogya kanda Canada gi prime minister laamba ko India da then India dagi ju ambassador ko diplomat chatpa sida maruina 4 areas like 4 key areas da moi agreement sing sign tongna ba adu plus ko development sing ne lainaba toy maruina kai da economy da ma sembilonda science and tech tama ko science and tech tama then amana kaino hai kanda energy gi oiba energy security kaino hai ba kanda huji thoiba waste gi crisis na energy ne security jama koi leitre si jamna awa ma oire hai bi si matang da energy security gi matang dama khanaba then amana kaino na hai kanda phaidai chawba asset phaidai chawba resource human ko mi resource people to people connection si myam janeba ko khana jen haise ana sagi sida to bakanda mostly priorities ji number 1 kai tham ga kanda obviously trade ni kaino trade ana ha bakanda ko economy ni semiloni ya bai je ana sagi country ma ka exist over on ga country ma ka thrive to one ha je economy di yamna chawna ko tangjabani na moi trade ki factor da yamna hene emphasis pire ko ana trade ki agreement sign tawna gre next ma kai hagen ha kanda investment da jo helen je bani kamaina helen doina ha bakanda India ji Canada gi ni di yamna chawbane market am khang ne ba ko ana sagi Canada rom da leiriba sariba and then phangdaba ko science and tech ki leiriba myam je India da moi la kan sell to ba yai amu ko Canada na hariba lamjana mo ni India go na mu kaino na ha kan tammu ba ya ba ko khangu ba ya ba ko adu moi digi investment draw ne ko to ba ya ba yamna chaw source am khak leiri ha ba ne ba adu mostly mu kai haigen ha kan da the diaspora link na ha ba ma hari sagi Indian sing Canada da myam go leiri ba ko NRI sing myam sing leiri adu na sagi leiri ba Indian sing na Canada rom digi ne investment je draw to holok ba ado India gi ne sothari ba sectors sing da ko sena sagi investment ji keno lahan ji habani ado kan da country ani mo se grow gi okay apun ba gi sense da lang sen ha ba base kan da even ko this is important doi now sigi last third see fourth me dig jam kan important oi desina yeah from bad to worse and habani Trump cannot achieve with diplomacy what he failed to get through war and habani Iran ji sagi US na suppress on the bako honore on tagane moi ma sai ngamna bane honore ngamna bu honaba kanda negotiating talks harane taujen haba kanda lang ngamde ngamda badagi the US ko it is to war ne hoji ko war le adu sagi war du mu leiba kanda sagi Iran je sagi surrender to we form leidriba leitaba je hoji sagi ma ne lan je mu hojulure lan je mu hojulure kanda ne wari mu sanar kanda ma na pambane phangban habadi yaroi na ko habane adu sidi yam kana no important go oidre simathamaji but these three are very important for today kya ko now si koi gi khangdaba ya daba words kara then han habit baina koina sentence kino hape ko sequencing amaga hapsale rc macha amaga hape yengaji the first word for today is exhumation exhume taba habani on exhume taba je koina kai jaga da use to ge na haita di phumjaluraba mi ma khak amun hona ge no ko magi grave tagi jaga da dig up to one habani mostly koina si ji kai jaga da use to ge na ha kana sai investigation purposes ngi da mata ko cases ko man sai mi ma khak si gre han kre na kanda magi ni cause of death to unknown ni kana haita di khangi na habide mata do wi mata do si ji kari wana ga the act of digging up something and habani buried ko phumjal laga thamgi ba pot ama khane kano phumjam da gi tauthorok habane ba adugi arda da hanji ko ana mana kai especially a corpse dead body ma ja ba exhume the one have je ani ana magi sonimo ba arda da koina disinterment hare disinter habani ko disinter this inter je kai disinter have je lauthok pa habane ba ko sijo on tra isam samna koi exhume habani to dig up habane ko sijo phumjan graba ma khane magi leiriba phumjaliba jaga dagi lawthorok bani yaraba adugi adani so unearning an habani unearning koina unearth to wanadi khumjalaga leirama botu hangtorok bani yaraba adugi adani then excavation ju keno tawdoini tawbagi sense ma kha yauri ko phumjaloga leiraba dong sagi ne tawtodini then unburying phumjaloba dong ne phumjandaba na habani yaraba chamana so all these words are synonyms wa yamna hena arubaude badawadu exhumation je koi kangjen habani kaino ha kan hujigi permi ba article JSM the base over article the go yauri ko adu ma munna bazana baji so antonyms the opposite ang sagi tawthokpa na mo hai taraga di phumjanma na mo haidoni ko okay enumeration sagi tawthoraga le bodo mo hanai jaga da hapsan gi ba ko inhum to bo yarba then burial koi pange phumba interment inter to have so no to keno buri na haidoni ko ne ko phumjanba na haidoni to bury samani sida entombment koi tum di keno koi kange tum di tum na hai taraga di tum je koi tum na hai ba word je khang ba kan da kai na kange ba me phumam ko ko sai phumam na hai ba kan da koi na cemetery kan lei ko ya ba cemetery kan lei then tomb kan lei grave kan lei mana ba bu ji ja ha mana ba point na ma hai ta de kai no asi ba jing gi ko no thambam jaga ne ba phumam jaga ne ba but the bu loi ba khenai ha me da kamai na khena ge ha ba kan da cemetery ko ja koi na mass oina ko mayam gi as in kai no ha kan da recognition am khak da pi ba gi mong da moi je myam ko puloi na sida leiri ha du gi takpham jaga am khani ko phum jaga ne adu grave se di mo generally khoi na sai ni phumjal lu da ba ko mayam ge ba ritual du gi tungina ya ba customer gi du custom du gi tungina ritual du gi tungina phum da bu sense mo ha ne ba then to mana have se na kari no ha kan da phumjal laga thammi ba mi du gi ko mathak da khoi na something like structure am kha sajan bi ba ko kamai na sa du no ha kan da ma je tongali na ha ba gi mawong da ko special ni ha ba gi bond even si re na ha ta jo ko special ni ha ba gi bond ne khal kan da structure am kha sajal ga thambi ba ya ba special ne ha ba gi bond da khal laga okay sumaina so ma sai entombment na ha ta de no khumjan bi ba mo ha do ne ma gi ne mathak da lai ri ba grave da mo ko na structure ma ga ne sajan bi ga thamba na mo ha do ni ko adu ya ta ni so this is the first word for today thang mo yeng ji draconian akoi na si dum thengnare asfagi matang da ko draconian act na ha re sathi ba na ha ba ni ko adu na excessively harsh na akoi na or severe or cruel na ha ba ni okay pata ba yam thina ne sathi ba na ha koi dum kange so synonyms da koi na stringent or stringent act kind ha ta di ko ha de mon sa gi ne kom thok ba ya ba ma da ne yaw da yam na strict oi ba gi form na ha ji ko stringent then oppressive laws kind of has a sagi law khar semi laws me amze public da praja sin da general sense da ko yam ne hena ne you know what san bi ba nation bi ba adu me form hena yaw bi athala ji now austere je khoina sida kamai na chanai no na ha bane he leads an austere life kana haje ba go he leads an austere life haje ba adu austere life na habje da austere have a word sigi meaning ji ga sida khoina draconian je kamai na chanai no na ha bane so he leads an austere life and haida di monda ne modalities yo ba otaga ko amenities comfort ne piga da me am do kaim ta yaw da bi de maji hingi na haiba ne ba ko sam na set tab ya da dress kara ko dress ani then nong magi cha da ba ya da ba ko just maji sidana ba adu khak char kan hingma life am khane na haiba ne ba di obviously adu gum life di khoi na pa ba life haiba ne no ko ne sida comfort have them ko yaw roi ba ko comfort na have them yaw roi then enjoyment have them ko yaw roi ko nungai ba na have them ko phang roi ko yar ba then pleasure na have them ko khang roi da yam na sagi chang da bya do basic to katang na sel ga char kan ma ji hingjai ne ba adi adugum ba life to ko sagi ne awa ba life ne haduni adun sagi austere sense da ko ne draconian je khar hen harsh way na have sense da ko na chan han doi ni yar ko draconic yar sigi same terms gi ni yar ba la ra sima then antonyms to ko na lax na have sima ne yeng ji kai na ka da yam toina ko use ko to de uncommon oina laxity kan ha laxity kan ha ko lax na je now atai me am dekhang antonyms da lenient toiba sai gi mi ma khak da dandi ko pi dore ba dandi da kitang ne lenient ore ha ba sai dandi dum pangani pi dore bi do degree da on jaga ne masing da khara handan ba satra ma khayam na lang en ha ba kan da ko mong na sai chai ji chama kalon ha re chai ji chama de ne kan ba sai gi kitang force kitang handa raga ko example da admaina set mile chama ne ko kitang handa ba sonja ba merciful minung si khara show to sense ko adoi sagi minung sikar show to ban haita de harsh to oidre harshness to yaroin habani ko now laxity have is lax and have kai no have kanda sijo kitang lose a sense ma ko yawi ko komthok ba na ba komthok ba na habani laxity or lose and habadi on to ma je ko inactive ki mong do ko na haisi na chaga passive ki mong haisi ya ba adu gi artha da ti ngasagi lose or haita yamna tight oidre habani phajan ba ko apha ba apun ba amaka yaudre habani ya ba advance tagi strictness on to harsh way in high budugi khenabada liduni ko yani ko gentle de koi khange sima yinu now the third word simu yinga ji kidore the third word subversion ko asai ko na subvert to bana subvert to we are the undermining or overturning of the power and authority of an established system or institution haba habi sagi leirami ba ko phangami ba right to phanganda ba power ma khane pirame ko mingonda adu gini power do mane lothok ba bane ba okay ya ba sam na the power to ba kai na power piram do khane power do lothok ba ji ya ba on traga mingonda certain authority ma khane piram do authority to gine lothok ba ya ba authority dagi strip off to ba lothok ba na je koina power piram ba ma khana traga ne authority piram ba ma khatu lothok ba na me aduna overturning na haise ko lermi ba hanagi mana phangjarmi ba lermi ba right or power or status to lothok ba na bani of an established system or institution na bani ko mostly magi hapam jaga je koi gi rule na set torma ba on traga system ama khada ne grant to jarama ba piram mi ba poto adagi ne lothok ba na haidoni ya ba ana magi synonym sa koina undermining an hare handhan ba destabilization koina stable oiba na high targadi mana lejermi ba on ta udar ba activities myam no sagi normal flow ma khadane chatone but then destabilize to rain haita di stable oi drain haita di mangonda mana sudori ba chatori ba ngangdori ba haidori ba ne to dribs kari no na have doing sagi uncertainty ma khak leire have form da yingzi ko sabotage manghan ban have ne ko manghan ban haidoi ni amanga ta thon ban ha je koina destruct kaina adugi sense ko haidoni ya ba but then destructor actually chapti ko mane no koina haigom ji sabotage and have kai no ha kanda actually koina kai da magi reputation on traga magi ne ler mi ba thago da sohan ban haidoni koina ko reputation on traga status da sohan ba koina haidoni ko amanga ta thon ba now overthrow samsana overthrow koina ha je ning thoma ka mana ne parami ba magi phamdagi magi dethrone to regana adu koina ko means remove to rain have doni yarba overthrow then disruption koina ayet pa apan ba athing mama ka piren have doni ko mana sagi ne tawdori ba exercise ne tawdori samsana koina ha je police na sagi mob am khalere ko mob sakalib sing sagi ni control to gen have ka anda police ta authority ma ka piri ba ko to control the mob but then mob sna mo hinjala ba de police na sagi ne control the bodu ngam je ware au the police na tawdori ba ko exercise tawdori ba ne ko authority on the power da ayat ba apan ba pire na ba antumaina now antonyms da koina opposite word da stabilization preservation reinforcement upholding allegiance de koi khangre hana ko adona sing ise khangbi ji subversion na hariba word si koina antonyms si lain habzima atai mi hamde koi hana idona tre ko now ade huje koi sentence sequencing da ne la je sentence sequencing sem ka anda aduga rc ma ka happy go yengje first da JSN the base over article the gine sempani koina sentence manga khak pire manga se koina proper sequence sem je have neba proper sequence sem ka anda kari na handoi no adu karam bana second the third the fourth the fifth la kani have ne now the first thing that we have to remember here is koina hana khangre kai khang again ha kanda koina sequencing sem bagi rule da karamba sentence on to gane karamba part of the sentence na hangani hal oi have gine rule do ni koina hana ha gam dang asai pronouncing na koi hobiroi habani hobia de na habani ko pronouncing na hobo do oi roi kai da matno haba kanda pronouncing na habe je they are used for nouncing ni yarba on noun ma ka hana tak tab ya de habani ko adui noun do hana ta me na haba kanda moi sing jina hojing da noun do ma hana ne yaugani laini adu noun do gi tu na pronounce koi haba kani so pronouncing na hoba part of the sentence or the sentence will not be the first sentence na habani ko simo koi hana khangre next amu kai hai ge kan connectors in so koi hawroi na bani ba kai tamo to na kan connectors and having they are going to join ideas have ne ba samnan doi ni samnan ba do chama na ba sense samnan gera na traga ne contrasting oiba way da ko samnan gera but at least mamang da wa ma ka haram da ba di ya de ba ko adui wa do hana karino have do hana taktana samdak ba ya da ba na connector na have so koi hawroi na bani okay ya ba now simatang da ko ne yeng da ba am ko lei pronoun in hobi ya de na have consider pronoun da same word sing koi lei di ba ko kam no determiners and hariba ko sium sing je ana moi na di hobi ya he ne ba kai gino hai kan da determiners and have se koi na pronouncing and pullen hai da but they are not pronounced ko ana moi di pronoun ne natte ba natab ni ne determiners in the hobi ya ni kai da matona hai kan da determiners are used for nounsing ni okay this pen and have kan da sa gi this pen do si gi pen in hai kan da hor do obviously pen have a noun na ne yaw re ba ko ana adui part na hobi ba di ko ya ne have ni okay next amu khanga da ba point na kai no hai kan da Harami ba mayam sing je sentence ko na sequencing sema ken have kanda the next main thing that we have to remember is general oiba idea amadagi ko kharo samne apik borom da lakani habani ko what khare hena pak chaw na kon be aba okay sense sama kho yarum gani leigani adagi hena samne apik borom da lakani habani adu boni khoin hai gare inverted ke ba inverted kino sigi concept sema khoi kaugum je bani okay ya ba to sigi idea me amji hanjala kan sida pirami ba sentence me amji khoina sequencing same jena hai bani auna akoina khangare sequencing na hai ba kan sida exam dagi tungina para examples hoina form da hangba yai ko on traga s1 s6 ki form da hangba yai on traga sai pq ko rs na hai gera tuan tuan dui mon da ne hangjabe but then hangjaraga ju moi da core oina pandori ba logic ti chama nei ha ba okay ana same amji koi kok da hanjala kan da yengaji first the pyramid in February this year. In a case pending before the Supreme Court of India, the court issued interim orders restraining such exhumations and hare. When I have done Han Basan as a Karamano Sina Sahadana, Uiba Yadabs the Nibu, or the Karamanum Uiga again have done it. Independently, Matandago, Lipsa Baya Bangamba, Aduga, dependent, Uiba formed the Laitaba, Aduma part of the sentence, no Queen Han Bahogani and Havani. Yang as the pyramid sentence is independently, Mama Tandane, Laibangambra. Libran have the Yingzi on Atobas Hamnabra have the Haningzi. In favor this year, in a case pending before the Supreme Court of India, the court issued interim orders restraining such exhumations. Restraint Toba. Sigumba exhumations and Hariba. Sigumba. I think exhumations Zikarino and Havamaka Hanamaka Tapomaka, Tangduri. Tangduri go. There are these such exhumations and Habrina exhumations, Sumba and Havana Mazihana Tapomaka, Tangduri, Yaudabia, or the sea is no way of how rego. Next to me, the JSM's core agenda against Christian conversions is well known. Oh, Zoom. Now, the JSM's core agenda against Christian conversion is well known. Its main demand being the delisting of all Adivasi communities that have converted to Christianity. Independently, JSM ki maruiba agenda against Christian conversion se myam lu mane khangnare magi main oiba demanding kaino kanda Adivasi communities se delist tawba ko kai dagi ST dagi karam mono kanda ne Christianity da on grabasing do daraba ST gi list gi moise haphalui ji chalu jabani adu si jama independently ko leiba yai ko simat thamji atoba yauri brand have ding kai da matono haiba kanda ko nyare general oiba term ko khara he na chawna kon bia ba term ma yaw he ta di adun halakadam heba neba okay next up these campaigns have gone so far. These campaigns have gone so far as the forcible exhumation of bodies from graves on privately owned land belonging to Christian Adivasis in tribal villages. Shumba campaigns in no harem. Yaraba, I think Shuma campaigns in the campaigns kari no one have a mutabu changra, changi of the sin of Hobi, Yaro Heaven. Seen as a way, right? Next, this demand involves stripping them of their constitutional and legal protections on the grounds that they no longer subscribe to Adivasi beliefs and heavenly. This demand, Masigi demands it. Masigi demands no higher, the Masigi demand has a curry, demand no one have the Mahana, Tabamaka, Changduriba, or the Sinas Mohodra, Horiko, Sino Obero. Furthermore, Hare, Samnahadali, Samnahalini, I think Saimamang, the Karigumwa, Makahana, Haidaba, Yarwe, Harami, Wadu to in the Monet, Samtarakanda, Line, and furthermore, the organization has run violent campaigns in several states in central India particularly Chhattisgarh targeting Adivasi families who have converted to Christianity. Adi koi furthermore has we know that this is a connector ni. Ko connector mani and connector man koi hobu ya ro hebani hauro hebani. Yaraba audi ijino so koi hauro. That adi hobu ya is independently koi hauro ji b na tra b jina koi hobu ya re. Sequence koi b jina same mane ba. Yaraba audi b ki next amu lakpe avase karamba no na hebani. Karma part amu lakpe is it going to be A or C or D or E? D. This demand involves stripping them of their constitutional and legal protections on the grounds that they no longer subscribe to Adivasi beliefs. Mane moigi demand kari no na higher sida. Ko its main demand being the delisting of all Adivasi communities. Christianity the own graba Adivasi ke community ka ido ST ki list ki lokhoksi have ne ba. Hoto bodo this demand sigi demands the yawi stripping them of their constitutional and legal adi sai samvidhan na ST da chalale ata de ST gi list da yaw ba kan da piri ba moi rights do phangal have ne and obviously B matung da la pe je koi D la ni next day E. Furthermore, the organization has run violent campaigns in several states in central India, particularly Chhattisgarh, targeting Adivasi families who have converted to Christianity. When furthermore, Haitati, Kariguma Mamang the Wam, Haram Doriba Wadugi more emphasis Henamone, Pinava, Qua, Chidazu Hena, Hapsali have a one, Ado Didaga, Didagitung the easy lampa, Yabra Havani. Leorigi was equal Siga, Egalehorigo, Siga, Egalehori, Siga Eze, Digitung the Lapa Yaba, Yaura Hunting. These campaigns have gone so far as the forcible exhumation of bodies from graves on privately owned land belonging to Christian Adivasis in tribal village. CG lakata jaga easy hana lakata habani. Digi tungda. Kahino haba kanda koi na kharai hena chauna kormudana hana dum lakata ni habani bako. Sida pirami baze. See the haze. These campaigns karamba campaign ona habani. This demand involves stripping them of their constitution and legal protections on the grounds that they no longer subscribe to Adivasi belief. Nasai moi the piriba samvidhana piriba tuan tuamba rights in meam dudagi pangandaban have ne go sidi hare. Next time see them hajana sigi campaigns in hare. Of the sigi campaigns in hana takuma changduriba. Mane sigi campaigns in a haiduriba go. Of the sigi campaigns in tak tabi ya the campaigns no panba amaka hana change. Of the campaigns in hana independently policy kaidano either pale. Ko this are obviously easy lani. Yaba Eli E tungdamu lakpadamu samdare these campaigns and have the C laksare. Of the last time without this no A tahore. Yaba of this sequence when some pangizi B D E C A have any. Ko B D E C A. Your ring is it? B D E C A. There goes that. Okay. So smile koi process to koi na jani. Exam the body koi na direct option hapsaram gani. Option to hapa magadi koi namu solve to the lie have any bako. How baga last to koi chana but then koi namu kai confusing way about options in Yoromena Haitadi. We will take the help of pairing never koi pair musemzi have any bako. Pyramid sentence ani the musam nabakanda on the last ne yaw the sam nabada ko karambani hena art to can have the when we find options that are similar ko say similar about options in pange chanari and haitaraga devan yari ko dumaying next the second sentence amazing muyo live chat karam theo dumale online there over experiencing zo option same dum habiro ko okay option dum same ga habiro chumbalan ba check doji chumbaga zo koina do kari chumino lalaga lalino that is important ko adoni mori woise yenga ba what does JSM considers a weakness is in fact a foundational distinction. JSM na ason mane na khalize asengba magdadi a foundational distinction na mane na habani. Adi JSM na khalize kai no na habama ka hairi ba ko. Adi sidom independently koi thami badi yai thamajing atang yoina. Ko Unlike in the case of SCs, neither the Constitution of India nor the law links the identity of STs to religion and SC case the nataba. Go on. Manadabada. Neither the Constitution of India nor the law links the identity of STs to religion and Asagi akoina unlike na have a word sikaramba part of speech now. Unlike say. Unlike say kayo preposition la connector ra. Now ra. Preposition la connector ra ba. Online the yawbajing yawadin the hero said unlike and I have a word say preposition of branch aga connector over karamba part of speech again. Andre. It can be both used as a preposition as well as connector neba yaraba. But the whatever sigi case the kari oina yauri nona have a here. Unlike in the case of as a connector in Apainico, said here. Let us connector maka habam bakan sagi manadana and high neighbor manadana and high the karigumo among the wamaka hibamaka yauduri adu yautargadi bizina han hobi we are or the koi azimadi independently koi tambire bizimadi koi oiro. See the meaning at the conclave, the demand for delisting was framed with reference to the recent court judgment upholding the presidential order of 1950. Conclave the demand for delisting was framed. Delist thousand habaze moida STG remove thousand habaneba. Sigi frame to Wikaida with reference to the recent court judgment upholding the presidential order of 1950. Court Handakatamu Nona, Raimati Kaitaka and the Mamang the Piramba 1950 presidential order do appeal to give up Udum to me, Sanagan Habama. Yes, Simazu independently Levi, Tamazi, or the Ega Sigale. This order holds that persons belonging to scheduled castes who profess a religion other than Hinduism do not qualify for constitutional or legal benefits. This order had orders in had or the Sigi orders in happiness. Order the Mahana Panmaka Sangani. Yaraba, or the Panmamusanginas Dijno. The ASM's demand is that this principle be extended to scheduled tribes, a move that would require removing what one of its leaders described as a weakness in the constitution. Weakness and Haramado, JSM na weakness and a Kaliba, what's a Karino, have to get some Nava, Amulasida. Yaba, the JSM demand is that this principle, Sigi principle no Habumo, Haidiba. We demand the Sigine principle and Haidi be extended to scheduled tribes. So this is right? Yaba, but the book is the kingdom of Pangekaino. JSM na weakness and a Kaliba Zikaino have a see. As a weakness in the constitution, have a the town of the parliament, or the Anish the Hana, Lactois, eager the decoy, ease in the Halani have a koi kange. Okay, Yarba, or the Asian Sukoi, how Roy has a koi kange. Inozukoi, how Rego, and Inozukoi, how Roy, or the Taurizi, Kaitaure there. See the Horego, see the Horoni, see the Horoni, options, or the scene of Horwitum, the next time Lakoyava sentence, Karamba sentence, and Lakan has it. Hello. D. Yes, see the presidential order of 1915 Harry. Ko the Sigi orders a senior have some Hazare. Taekwa, the Sim the Dilani. Mutangi. B. Kainabani. Karambo, we don't know. Which one is going to be the next sentence? Online experiencing next sentence. Karamboini, when a high rule mamdo, Palakanda. Go. For example, dragon sentence, arrangement, sequencing, the same rule applies. Rule jump and I do it. Samanadum, Pangani. Ibiro. B. Yang go there. C, D, the B, have never. Unlike in the SCs of in the case of SCs, neither the Constitution of India nor the law links the identity of SCs to religion. I never see unlike an Harigo connector minus the ectoribo prepositions but the C and here it is used as a connector never. Connector moina sinata badona haita D the Wamaka haiba ma kak changane ba D the haram iba wadu ga siga samna pa yabra haiba ne, that we have to see. D the ham is the this order holds that persons belonging to scheduled caste who profess a religion other than Hinduism do not qualify for constitutional or legal benefits and heaven. Ko sida haram is na moidang sagi Hinduism Hindu ki dharma ne chat ko si se nattaba atoba dharma chatba missing do constitutional natraga legal ki benefits moi phangoi ha bane ba na ba ado sida unlike in the case of S season hare na ba sida unlike in the case of S is ki case the nattabida neither the constitution of India nor the law links the identity of STs to religion lakpadi abe but then atai ko option jing khoi yaw be na che mu to se bane kai no har kan da khare he na chaw na kon mo do han hapagan he bane A is say akoin hai kare E gi tung da lakani na ko akoin hai kai da matono hai kan da consider the weakness and have a weakness je pan ma ko si da yauri ha bane ba au na A gi man ko E lan have juma khange tang da E ni ko yes the JSM's demand is that this principle be extended to scheduled tribes, a move that would require removing what one of its leaders described as a weakness in the constitution and have bane sida mo ha jana JSM gi demand ni matang da ma le that this principle have bane C gi principle je bane kari principle no haiba ma khak changi ba ko khangba audi this principle haiba je mamang da hana tak taba ya roi ko audi tak to riba ne principle du A da yaw doira on tra sigi yaw driba B da yaw doira haiba ni ko natraga D je da yaw doira na haiba ne sida sagi presidential order of 1915 haiba si haiba consider SC the persons belonging to scheduled caste who profess a religion other than Hinduism Moiseng second constitutional or legal benefit from Bayadi and Heaven. Audi Mohare. Seeking a principle says scheduled tribe to extend to see heaven. Other than the see the hydro this score. Principle of the obviously Dizedum Tarneva. Called Digitarnic and have the Dizigine, Manum the way Dizum Talacaneva. Yaba, or na Diginess of the Elani. Or the eagerness the way now. Eagerness, when obviously weakness, Haramanina. Weakness say Palacado Wado. La neba ko weakness karino sida haramiba a weakness is the weakness and kalisi karino and have jumutani or the A luxury or the last one the B tarbodia or the C D E A B ya ko your brings option the your go option A tare C D E A B yan tare ko ma'am C D nate C D B nate ko C D E A B ni ko E jin halakani kai tamaton have kanda B da hai je this principle na have ni ko on sagi this principle have je kari odeno D da harami ba wadani odu je makang meng je amu ko go through bedang tawro Kamu ni, kamu nak han kan ni han aro, ha, bina han ni ya, ni mo, biro, bina hana, hodoro. Simultaneously, simultaneously, the JSM has been pushing the assertion that Adivasis belong to the broader Sanatan Parivar. Hare. Ko simultaneously, koi kariwena apino se. Karamba part of speech na apino. That we have to see. Simultaneously, siga punna, siga iroina. It is an adverb. Ko here it is used as an adverb. Ko iroina na siga ne punna, siga chamana na. Chamina bakanda. The JSM has been pushing the assertion that Adivasis belong to the broader Sanatan Parivar. Yaba, iroina na chamina ba harmonious dengan sagi kai no hakanda just emphasis on the pibani but then connector gi mon koi haide. Ko audisimodum independently how wodum yai thamgizi. Adivasis are fully entitled to choose their religion under Article 25 of the Constitution, which guarantees freedom of conscience and religion. Yes, Simazu independently ko. Labay these entry points or the sigi entry points in hane adi kari entry point no hana tapo ma khachange khangmo ma khachange sidi koi yaw si na hana alright. This includes the building of temples with Hindu idols in tribal villages, the rebranding of local deities, and the installation of Hanuman idols at village entry points. This includes an si yaudini, si yaudini, karino, yaudo. Quite hungry, but not regions were alright. Next, the ile. But whether an Adivasi versus Ram or Jesus has no bearing on their identity as an Adivasi. This is a fundamental constitutional principle. But, connector money. Say, among the one who hide the VR contrast with idea, from this, or the contrasting with idea, among the Kari idea, from that we have to find. Or the in a Zohidra. How we call? Or the Tahori is Sagi, Ega, Biganeva. Ega B is the Karamana Hando in heaven. Is it A or B in heaven? Simultaneously, the JSM has been pushing the assertion that Adivasis belong to the broader Sanatan Parivar. Asoba Hindu family and has the Moja Yawre heaven. Yaba, Simwiki, assertion. See to Menhani. Adivasis are fully entitled to choose their religion under Article 25 of the Constitution, which guarantees freedom of conscience and religion. Animosi independently. Amana Domne Hobiare. Option to Zone, Habam Dini, B in Hawama, A in Hawama, Habam Dini, but the Bodo Queen has answered to the Antonigo, Animodi Tumba Yadeva. Adukan the Queen Hare, Sumana lady Hakan the Quina, Karambana Hanmum Toke, Adukane Karambawa, Habakanda, Goa, Yaudo notes and Duno have the Yings heaven ever. See the Hazina Hindu Parivar heaven. Goa. As I give Mosi Adivasi Hindu Gine, Parivar lane, had the Hinduism the lane, Habagi Atani. Goa, Samsana. Yeah, by that. Next time, has an Kaino have Adivasi is fully entitled to we Moiki Dharma. Ko Moini Anima Pam, but Dharma do, Kanzanava. Kagitungina, Constitution Piriba, Article Sigitungina, which guarantees KP freedom of conscience and religion and heaven ever. Also, I coin a Dharma in Bachapana have a quay Constitution bind over in a bound over in a Constitution Yauri Bazitu in a way Dharma, the way Anima Pam, the way Hongera or Hongera, Satkera have the lay never. The Samidana Piriba, Sigi rights in a Hanbam Topra, not a Dharmazina, Lapam Topra have a that we have to see. Constitution Malati and a high taragadi, Dharmazina Hanzani, but the Bodabu was in a illiba Dharmazin go home to Honzin, Yaiga, Yadika and Hariba Mamze, pull up in a name, bound to ever kind of bound to whether the Constitution and bound to ever, Yaraba, or the Anisida Handozi, Pen Halane, Bean Halanigo. Way in a Hanganina Kaleva, in a Zohan, but the Budamosagi constitutional framework American Laborina, constitutional ways, Loinabutal labor, co labor, on a bean Halani. Adi bean Halagadi, next time Lapia about option Z. Come on, Hero. Yes, Beanico. Bean Adenisume. A. Simultaneously, the JSM has been pushing the assertion that Adivasis belong to the broader Sanatan Parivar. I think these entry points, or the entry point to Karino and Habamakange, or the entry point in Habakanda, Sidamaka, the tribal villages in the Moisagi get Sunda, Hindu, Adolzin Kinban Hare, or the Sagi entry point hydrogen with Dizini, Dizini, the thing Sagi, see the way Laroy. Next one easy, but whether no Hare. But whether and Habakanda, or the sea Mamma Kari, Hydro, Habamakange, or the either Hazimune. Lapa Yabring Z easy quite easy as some Hanba Yabra Dinzi. See the Ham is in a JSM Moisi, Sanatan family singing means Moisi Hindu Habani, or the Hindugi Dharmas at Banhabani. See them Hasana, but whether an Adivasi versus Ram or Jesus has no bearing on their identity as an Adivasi Habani. Adubu Masagi Moise, Ram Ningera, this Ningera Moisi Adivasi Antiga Samnade. Yabra, or this is Lapia B.A. Lazi. Huh. B lower E. B matung the E. But whether an Adivasi worships, yes, go Yai, Sizu. The E, Labuze, the Matuno, Habakana Sagi, Mana, Dharmagi Tungina, or any Samidhana pyramid or Apam Makone, Lobaya and Habanico, Yingzana, saying with B, A letter, B, E letter. next time okay na samnan do ni ko samnan ma kan da yabra yadabra na do ni that we have to see next ta kari kuma b a je lai hata di a gi tungda mu kari lakpa ya ge bani a je lakta di mu e je mu hapira je e gi tungda b ga a ga e je mu la ya na hata di e je na han gi ba mu sem je ba hana ko sia na sem gi ji e je lai hata di kari mu lakpa ya ge bani leuri ji c ga di ga na tro c ga di ga ne ba audi di je mu lakpa kan this includes na hare c mu include to wen ha bani C include to is karino have a kanda either the move but whether an Adivasi versus Ram or just has no bearing have a demo samnade go samnade but then koi B A Shangarina happy as it B A E D adu C the lahore go similarly next time E only targadi E gitung the museum koi chisma seme next time B matung the E let go easy tung the move lakta di A la halajira chumbra namu ingziko but whether an Adivasi versus Ram or Jesus has no bearing on their identity as an Adivasi. This is a fundamental constitutional principle in Hare. Next, the Adivasis simultaneously the JSM has been pushing the assertion that Adivasis belong to the broader Sanatan Parivaram Hade. They simultaneously Sizagane Punna ko Sizagane Punna Samina Namu Haiduriba. But the Sizag Punam Saminaban have the Mu Sanadrebase. Yaba. So that is I give na B na hobana have mu soi dore badimu kai da maton have kanda option je mane kan dore ma ko sentence koi na sequential la pada koi na jin option koi yeng ji ko option yeng ta ga di koi answer dum line koi phangne ba but da koi na row de men option koi yeng hero je na have ne ba ya ba adu se koi na B jina hon gre ba B jina hon ba kan sa gi la easy easy mu somewhere hapam jaga je chana dre ba ko ado akoina sai khangre a jina jo ko independently hobiba yai b jina jo ne hobiba yai na having now let's change a jina hobira jemu a jina hobira gadi simultaneously the JSM has been pushing the assertion that Adivasis belong to the broader Sanatan Parivar habjada constitution na pibai tu tungina dharma je la pane hab kan dharma je hana ne leini habagi adam halaje mi je mu ko kon la ini adu rules myam je kon semai ni habagi adam halaje yengaji ko dharma je ne hena chawre ma haje Dharma Jina Sahole, at the Asian Halale. Asian Halamigitunda D. This includes the building of temples with Hindu idols in tribal villages, the rebranding of local deities, and the installation of Hanuman idols at village entry points and Hare. Yaba D. Jumla A Matunda. Ko. The D. Matunda Mulapia. This includes an Hari. This includes the Harry. A matung the dealer, of the D matung the Lapia Kermano de entry points and C entry points here are Taneba. Yaba. Or this includes the building of temples with Hindu idols and as a Mogi village in Get the Sabo, Kopana C entry point. Or the Diziga Sidum Samnarani. Yaba. Campaign aimed at rewriting tribal identity. But whether an Adivasi versus Ram or Jesus has no bearing on their identity as an Adivasi abane. Si lapana chumdaira natraga B je lapana chumdaira bane. Hello. Online gizing kam kamari. Online gi. Hydra. Si le ko. C boda koi D ga C ga di koi samnare ba ko so me ka ino dang sa gi mana saduri ba sa gate ki entry point na hari ba adi this entry points na hari samnare ba adi A ga D ga mu C ga mu samgre adi B ji mu yenga je Adivasis are fully entitled to choose their religion under Article 25 of the Constitution, which guarantees freedom of conscience and religion. But amani ko amajana adi but se lakba kan da C gi tung da B C gi tung da but an hai part se lakpa yabra habani C the Lehoribo wasing Sagi rewriting tribal identity and having Sagi entry point to gi Matanga Hazabanebo independently oina Legasisma. Adu Adivasina Sagi Ram Natagani Jesus not Pana Habaki Wamu Horeba. Yaba, Audi C D Sigitung the easy Laba Yagazane. Yaroba, you know, the Samadebo. Adi Bijum Hana, Apirazi. The Adivasis are entitled to choose their religion. Abakanda Moisagi Ram Ningera, Natagane, Jesus Ningera, Habagi. pochu mulai ko adi simu samnan bi abakanda ADCBE jimu tare bako akoina saigi hafam jaga leitije B ga A ga jiga ne bako kaigumba B jina han gren haba kanda A jimu kaida haptoino na habdani yaba adu koina phangba kanda saigi BAEDC na haba maga phangye aduga BEA jimu semba kanda koi option phangje ko ani ji yengaje karamda yauge bado masai B na hubada BAEDC B na huba amadi ko B gi tungda A lejere ko yaw de seda akoino je semijana karamno semija ADCBE yawbra yawi ko B da ya ba je aduna akoina jene option do hana yengjini ko adu option do yeng ta de mu lai do ni time so mane save to we na habani koina ko aduna akoina jene logic myam di kaina on the pyramid ba koi gi khangi ba logic and then rules tactics myam do adi koi dum chaman do ne ba chaman koi pan ji habane ba ko confusion lai de na haba kanda karam bani he na chaw na chandui no koina sai yeng ubo do constitution na sai gi pi ba safeguard ne habani na dharma nung gi waje samvidhan da hana ne challe adu kanda dharma jimu ko na lai habani yai ko in one way but then akoina sequence sema kanda mu art ji thok da ba kanda koina mu kai khale mi ji lai kanda sai dharma je ko lai jare adu gi tungina laws and rules myam jimu semai ni habdu mu ko la hal kanda sai gi B ga A ga hapam jaga do mu phange ba dumaina na ko spine koi thi je habani solve to je habani RC ji koi class am thang gi ko RC na ngam ke check class ai ba check gi like take ko the yaw do le ba somda RC am thang le di ba ko RC de ma dang samda je question manga di su bani question ana par je RC ji ma tang lo sen je ha hello question ana yenga ji ko what is the central theme of the passage ki central theme koi yenga ji sema di padabya roi which of the following is true if true would most weaken the petitioner's argument regarding the CBSE's ko authority kari gumba peme bastem in the chumta argadi ko chumta argadi petitioner na hairi ba wa je sondhan duino hangmane ba ko munning ji summa je koi hangali ko na chumta argadi sondhan ba kaina ga on ta strengthen ka yamna hangali ko summa je hangba kana koi na don't get confused akoi na yeng de kai no chumta argadi sondhan ban hai ta di man hai bu wa du against ko ta doini habdong koi adugi idea do maindan jalo question number 3 is according to the passage why is the CBSE's recent circular described as an abrupt turnabout sima koi ko yoro mani theory sima matanda based on the passage choose the correct combination of statement and abani kama chumino abani samsamna abdi 1 na chumira 2 na chumira 3 dang chumira on traga omu chumira ya ko the statement base ni yengajimu na ko question later passage koi parji the Supreme Court of India has directed the Union Government, the CBSE and the NCERT to file a report on their logistical preparedness to implement a 3-language formula in all CBSE schools from class 9 from July 1, 2026. Kaya ko sibo de, lahat ko, rubog siyo de. Direction pire, Supreme Court na, kana da. Central Government CBSE nito ka NCERT da. Ko, report naman samita ko na logistically mo just same sabado ko readiness to layer bra, late siba habi report naman hange. While declining an immediate stay, the court acknowledged that concerns over hardship and inconvenience warranted review na hare. Petition number ka thaba kan the Supreme Court na di athubagi immediate stay di pidre habani. Ko pidre stay di pidre but the book court na simadi exist with to mena high gre kai hage that concerns over hardship and inconvenience warranted review. Ko awaba thena ka daba myam singje si laibani na review ma di changi na habis ma di hare ko. The casual manner in which the government is enforcing this contentious policy shows complete disregard for students, teachers, and parents and happening. Sagi hatu tawriba ado yamna laiba ko among the sigine contentious obane policies implement to gain have a do we have a kanda sad sing the parents in the was asking the thena gadabane awabas in my country and have some hare. The CBSE mandate requires that at least 2 of the 3 studied languages must be native Indian language. Tamdorable loan ahum sida ani madi native Indian loan en hare ko sima. In an effort to camouflage the hardship unleashed, the CBSE exempted the third language from the class 10 board examination, opting instead for internal school-based evaluation. Camouflage digano kumjala thambadona ko haibani yarba. Oda sagi CBSE ne tori baje sagi thena gadori ba awaba jingje sagi ne keno kumjala ga thamgi na haibida matamu kedore hakanda sigi class 9 the period mane mandate class 10 the demu tawdu yai exemption ama ko pire na haibane ba ko yarba class 10 the internal school based evaluation form doina tahalani haba yarba. However, barely weeks earlier adubu ko mamang da hapta some kharagine mamang the CBSE had stated that this requirement would be deferred until the 2029-30 academic year habani on the kui jingai da hapta kharagi mamang da CBSE han haigram neba sigi loan ahum tamba na habaje hujitagi hogiroi sidagi hogani na haigibada ngairi ba ko this abrupt turnabout do salon ne da honge hata kharagine mamang da smaina tawhiroi hogiroi na hare aduga handaki chahigi July day 1 dagi horne salona hajale palona hongbaje can only be explained as a political decision. This is the political goeba poni ko having a proper thought thadar kan the bot not trace in ko. Petitioners argue petitioners in the yelling argue that language is a matter of personal choice and cannot be imposed by the state having loan have a mimi apamane choice ne ko other size then nang sil loan jingangu ko tamu tam tabya de have imposed to bayade hare. Furthermore, the National Education Policy 2020 explicitly promises flexibility and guarantees that no language shall be imposed on any student or state. Ini pino jo haiba ko loan ma tamban haiba se compulsory ne tamdaba yadi na haideba ko flexibility ni nangi apamba ne ba yaraba. Critics also contend that the CBSE as an executive body lacks the authority to impose such a sweeping educational mandate and having. On the CBSE ju kai no kan the executive ko body ne ba mona sagin power yaudeba yaudaba sagi to yade kind of direction p bagi right with the late haba yaba adum lejare without parliamentary legislation ko adon sagi parliament the phamiba elected representative myam don sagi ek amakak sema kan lomba sema kan haibani adugu mini power do mujedi yaudeba yaraba on as the NEP is an executive policy intent adon nang sai NEP ju kaino hai kan ne executive yoiba sumana sem gadi phani ko na khal kan da haigibane ba ko monda sagine statutory oiba power yaudeba not a statutory na haiba ko while accused shortage of 10 language teachers and appropriate textbooks turning school education into a cultural background severely hinders India's ambition to become a global reservoir of advanced human resources and hare tapi naba tambina ba oza sing june leitri ko yaraba and then appropriate textbook hodang sagi phongji ko kamaina kari londa iba kan dane kram content hatuna boda khangri yaba adu khanjing je sagi school jingje cultural battleground in on thoke na haida di India je uji myang gi mamang da world gi ne mamang da kaino global reservoir advanced human resources na sai tak na ba di honori ba ko honor ba sagi ayet ba apan na sweden na oi dore ha bani yeah ko this is the basis. First question, so what is the central theme? What is the central theme? And that is the first question. Come on, what is it? Online thing. B. The legal and academic implications of the abruptly mandated three language formula. AD. The logistical challenges faced by NCERT in printing books. The role of the Supreme Court in overriding parliamentary legislation. The override ma tawdeba. To we was high central theme nateba. A comparative analysis of native Indian languages versus foreign languages. That is obviously B tawre. Next. Hello. Come on. Which of the following, if true, would most weaken the petitioner's argument regarding the CBSE's authority? Lan buduni kwaise. When as a chumtaragati, petitioner ki wadu sontan duini have means aran waduni man period of viewpoint dugi against the lebuduni. What do you say? The NEP 2020 is proven to have been heavily debated and passed as an official act in Parliament. Naina dana hetago, launa dana yam tawgrena, habaniko, Parliament and Saimazi Ekamoina passed again Habakanda. hai ro si je sima hai dam na sagi magi ko lalhan mana hari wa do gi against the oidoina have ni ko thamje sima school administrators successfully recruit enough language teachers before July 1 2026 oi ko sima jo yengje thamgi the Supreme Court decides to grant an immediate stay on the policy in mid July sidi wa roi ko internal evaluations for the third language are replaced by centralized board exams oirego amusisu yaude that tahode jang sagi a natraga b ne ba ada if true would most weaken have ni khwai dige na sondhan doine ani moksi dum chumba yai but bodabu karam bani he na chumdoino na bani school administrators successfully recruit enough language teachers before July 1 2026 sini sagi imply to ba yade ba sidi ko oza khan bagi wa de moi sai haide kaino ha kana mama na sagi shortage of staff adu dan myam sai high grade sida ko ya ba da ring sagi sidi weaken to bagi point dum yauzalare ba sidi ko mana sagi against ne ba ya ba sidi mana piri ba argument ne sondhan bagi point ne ba sidi dum yauzalare ba adi yaudi karam ba oidoino hai taragadi chumta aragadi have nebo if true the NEP 2020 is proven to have heavily debated and passed as an official act in the parliament dan have ni ngasai NEP ji khoina mama da ngasai kaini hai ge kada is an executive policy intent dan have ni ko is an executive policy intent dan have ni and not a statute ma oyen hai ta de parliament yam kanna naina dana ko launa dana tawre hai kan sai ek oina semutu ne ko dadi oidena simbatia oide have ne adi si oidabina chumagadi ne have ne sine ba oide chumagadi ne have if true would most we can have do okay yan tai ko akoi ani maxima le ba tawdo b di oid hoje kai no ga da si di masana shortage of oza staff adudana mayama textbook mayama haijale re ba si di magi ko argument da yauzar ga le re ba simadi okay last one. According to the passage, why is the CPSC's recent circular described as an abrupt turnabout? Okay, wait. C. Because the board had very recently stated the policy would be postponed until 202930. Because it completely bans foreign languages like French and German. Because it goes against the core principles of National Curriculum Framework 2026. Similarly, because it transfers the evaluation power from schools to the central procedure haide ko to how the sagi abrupt ne haide kaino mamang the some weeks ko kharagi mamang the sagi to hero na haibane ba 2029 dagi hogini na haibane ba but the bu salaw na jale on the c word ni next thing kramana chumni based on the passage, choose the correct combination of statement. The NEP 2020 explicitly mandates that Hindi must be one of the three languages. Hi, bra. Hi, Deko Sa. The third language will not be tested in external class 10 board examination. Yes, Simadi Hai, school internal based evaluation. School administrators have raised concerns over a lack of trained teachers. School is high name teachers, parents, then sad the ko awas the moina sideline torme habani ko direct in a pudo ten it is implied. Ko the koi trees of chumani or the two chicken chum high targadi sea laser. Yarako next Lurmal. Okay, so why are season push mina? In say don't see sentence sequencing do yabra. Yarako. And kitang khallaga ne smaina khallaga lemudu solve to bane yani ana maruin changi di practice ne ko practice is what we require, practice is what is needed the most. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.